On your screen right now is a really cool cosmetic, okay? On your screen right now is indeed a really cool cosmetic, and I, Jeffixations, will show you how to acquire it. Let's start first with the build. Level 90, obviously, right? Requirement. Now let's look at the stat breakdown real quick. Check out them crit rate, crit damage stats. Look at that, 87, 50, 158. I know it's not 1 or 2, 180 would be 1 or 2, whatever. It's still really cool. It's a pretty high crit rate. I like that. I'm proud of that. Okay. Health. Some health is nice. You're gonna need it because you don't want to die. Attack. Useful. Defense, whatever. EM, actually not gonna be used at all here. So don't worry about building EM. There's gonna be no reactions in this event whatsoever. ER 120, right? Solid. You're gonna want to use your burst a couple times, and then obviously power damage. Alright. So let's go down the weapons first. I have them on Serpent Spine. That's a battle pass weapon. Honestly, there's 3 tiers to this, okay? Which there's a super ultra whale, right? Which honestly, for Diluc, like Wolf's Gravestone is a standard weapon. It's possible you could have it. I haven't been fortunate to pull a Wolf's Gravestone. It is from standard. If you have that, use it. Phenomenal. It looks great. Is great for him. Honestly, the next best weapon that isn't a limited 5-star weapon is Serpent Spine. I do understand that's a battle pass weapon, which means if you're super ultra hardcore free to play, you're not gonna have it. If you do have it, use that. It's got crit rate. You want crit rate here. That'll be awesome. Not really that many other options in the greatsword category, especially with some that have crit main stats. Genshin seems to hate crit main stat greatswords, especially for free-to-play players. Throw them on our prototype archaic. That's gonna be like the super ultra hardcore free-to-play option. Refinements are okay, I guess, because you will be doing normals, right? Normals are built into Diluc's kit, so I mean it's not that much damage, so don't feel the need to R5 it, but I mean it helps a little bit. If you do have, this is like the underrated pick. I haven't tested it out because I haven't leveled it up, but if you have done, you know, like the world quests or whatever, and you can fully proc that passive, it's not a bad option. You know, because the ER, hopefully you can get in another burst, because normally you'll probably get in like 3 to 4 bursts. If you can get in like if you can squeeze in a 5th burst because your ER is high enough. Because Diluc has good orb generation, right? His skills make orbs, so if you have enough ER, this might help to get there. But yeah, if you can proc that passive to get the full attack, you know, the extra attack buffs, this is really a worthwhile option. And if you were there to play the event, if you don't have it, don't even worry about it. Get him on prototype archaic. If you're lucky, get him on Wolf's Gravestone. If you summon for other characters, let's say Navia and their weapon, you can use them. They're far and above the best option, right? Like bar none. I don't use it for, you know, for the sake of this guy to keep it reasonable. I don't expect everyone to have, you know, Navia's Verdict or Mavoika's. I think Mavoika's is crit as well. If you do have those, all power to you. That's throw that on there just for this event. You're gonna curb stomp it. Otherwise, Serpent Spine, that's a battle pass. If you don't have that, put a archaic. Cool. Now the artifact set, pretty straightforward. Run them a 4-piece Crimson. 2-piece set is pretty much all we're going to be using here. Power bonus damage. We love that. First half of the 4-piece doesn't really, you know, you can't really use that too much. There's no reactions, no overload, no version, no melt, no vape. The second half, however, is nice because when you use skills, boom, 50% more damage to his pyro. You know, newsflash, we're going to be using a lot of skills with Diluc. And 3 stacks, it's literally tailor-made for Diluc. Like, it doesn't, you know, get more straightforward than that. Standard DPS build. We're talking attack, we're talking damage percent, and we're talking crit. For the circlet, this can change depending on your weapon. If you have crit rate, run crit damage, right? You don't bother over capping crit rate. If you have a crit damage weapon, which I can't name one off the top of my head. If you have a crit damage weapon, crit rate, right? Because you still need to crit, right? No point in having 200 crit damage with 10 crit rate, you know? Yeah. And if you have attack or ER, run crit rate. Because unless you have like god artifact substat rolls, which I don't, so run crit rate. Peep the artifacts, by the way. Crit rate, crit damage, I know it's not the best, right? It's got a lot of EM in there, which goes to waste in this event. But look at this plume, alright? This plume, that's my plume right there. Oh yeah, that's a saucy plume right there. Some crit damage, some crit rate, and then for this is really nice to have the other crit stat, opposite main stat, which is nice. And then some ER in there. I don't think I had that much. I don't even have any HP on here. Okay, I have a little bit of HP. HP won't hurt here since if you're not used to dodging, you don't have a shield, you can't heal, you know, to avoid, you know, your death in this event. Some HP if you, let's be honest, skill issue. You'll only need to dodge like 2 attacks. at most. Probably the biggest point of contention, Constellations. Unfortunately, I can't rewind the Constellations in my account, so I can't do this guide at C0. But what I will say is his Constellations aren't super mandatory. Okay, this event is not like, this isn't floor 12-3, you know, like you don't need every single ounce of performance to milk and barely get through with, you know, 36 stars. I think the bare minimum here should be enough to clear it, as long as you just know what you're doing. Which is what I like about these events. It kind of pushes you to more to lean on the game mechanics rather than just like padding the stats. While it helps, it's not mandatory. Okay, I'll quickly go over the Constellation since he is a standard character. Chances are is you might have him at C1, 2. God forbid you have him at C6. I'm sorry. Okay, that means you probably lost a lot of 50s. I lost 4 50s. As you can see, I have him at C3. I'm so happy. Okay, I'm so happy that I have him at C4. C1. Probably, I mean, this is kind of useful when you're using, because like the way I go about doing this event, there's gonna be 3 waves. Wave spawns, hit him with the ultimate, with the burst. Wave 2, hit him with the burst. Wave 3, hit him with the burst. If you have him C1, that burst does a little more damage because they're, you know, full health. C2, not too useful because this requires you to take damage, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say you need to take damage to clear this event, so it's kind of useless. You know, ideally you don't take any damage, so you don't proc this. But I mean, if you did, then there it is. Not mandatory. C3 is nice because his skill is the most important, integral part of his kit. So if you have him C3, that's gonna, you know, help you with the cost of the talent costs, which we haven't went over yet. C4, if you have C4, that's probably his biggest like DPS upgrade, right? Because that means like bigger stacking damage bonus, you know, when you use a skill, which you will be using his skill. C5 buffs the burst, which is nice. It helps. I mean, I mean, at most you're gonna get like 3 to 4 burst off depending on your ER. So I mean, not mandatory, but it's nice. And then his C6, it's a quality of life change with a bit of a DPS upgrade. Not a major one, not as big as C4, but C6. You get some attack speed, which is nice, and you get some damage when you combo in their stuff, which is nice. Again, if you have him as C6, my condolences. You won't struggle with the at least. Finally, talents. 3 talents: normal, skills, and burst. Priorities. Skill is first, ult is second, and then normals are third. I have him at 11, 8, 6. Well, I guess I read that off. I have him at 6, 11, 8. 6, 11, 8. I did upgrade the normals because, you know, Diluc does incorporate normals into his kit. It's not mandatory, but it will help you clear this event quicker with some normal being invested. You don't have to go crazy and triple crown him unless you're like the, you know, fanatic only Diluc main left in the world. Focus on the skill. If you can get it to like level 8, ideally, right? I think 8 is like a good baseline of what probably this event wants you to stay at or like aim for. Level 9, if you want to invest a little more, level 9 is fine. He is Diluc. I don't expect people to be maining Diluc when there's Hu-Tao, when there's Arlecchino, when there's Mavoica. There's so many more pyro DPS options nowadays that all do the same thing. Rather they, you know, rely more on reactions just like Diluc does. And there's even Linny, right? Which is his own thing too. Right. Skill. I have it at 11 because of the +3, right? I would aim for like 6, 9, 8. 6, 8, 8 would probably be ideal. Same thing with the burst. I wouldn't leave it at level 1 because you do use it and it does help. The damage does help. It still has a pretty nice chunky multiplier, which can help you clear out the fodder because, you know, it's gonna be a lot of early churls and then a couple meta churls. The higher your burst is, the more fodder you don't have to worry about. Focus on the skill, then the burst, and then, you know, give it a little bit of an investment, even if it's like a level 3 or 4. A little bit of investment to the normals because you will be using your normals. Using the standard Diluc normal skill combo. Don't use his charge attack. Okay. And then Pyro Infusion, obviously, this is actually really important. It's really nice. It helps with the damage, you know, but obviously you're gonna have this because he's at level 90. Right, so that's the build. Again, quick rundown again. That's crits, get that crit rate up. Crit damage is, you know, once you can get your crit rate to a substantially good level, and maybe aim for at least 60% crit rate, right? And then stick to 1 or 2. Weapon, Serpent Spine is a phenomenal option with probably not a super heavy bar of entry. Granted, you do have to spend $10. That is that bar of entry. If you get lucky, you pulled for other 5-star great swords, throw that on there just for this event. If none of those apply, Prototype Archaic and you pray. 4-piece Crimson, standard DPS loadout. We're talking attack, damage percent, crit stats, see whatever how many 50s you've lost, and then maybe like 6, 9, 8, 6, 8, 8, something like that. Don't bother triple crown. You do not need a crown for this event, okay? Unless you love Diluc. And you know what I mean, you have to love Diluc. Cool. So now let's get started with the event. And of course, time for the strat. So I have two ways to go about this first part. Okay, one I'm calling the Chad Ultra Sigma way. And then the second one's gonna be the Goofy way, okay? It's super simple. So the first one's actually gonna be a lineup. For this first part, we literally have to hit all of these in a pretty quick, all right? It's quick enough where it's impossible to run around and hit all of them using your normal or your skill. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna catch all of them with one single burst. All right, I'm gonna teach you a very simple lineup. Go ahead and walk up to this first pillar, just, you know, walk into it, whatever, right? Until you realize you're walking into nothing. And then just take a few steps back. You're gonna know you took enough steps back because there's gonna be a dot on the floor, which I will mark in the editing right there. Where's this dot at? There it is. On my right, there's a dot on the floor. I'm like straight right next to it. I'm top down. There's a dot right next to me. We're going to stand in between that dot. That will be our marker of hitting this perfectly. So just go ahead and, you know, walk your Diluc over. This is probably a better perspective. And just make sure he's facing forward. Right, there you go. Notice how his feet are in between the dot. They're slightly behind it. That doesn't matter. Just be around the dot. Make sure, you know, imagine this is his legs. Pause. All right, and then this is the dot. Just be at around it in between. Cool. Facing forward. Part 1 done. Part 2. We have two pillars now. We have the front pillar and then the pillar behind it. We're gonna line up the top rim of the front pillar with the last level of the back pillar. Because notice there's like a brick pattern on the second pillar, which has got like the top, it's like a T shape and then like the two bricks next to it. We're gonna use two things to mark our angle. This top rim, go ahead and level it out with that brick line. All right, and then I'm gonna shift it over so you can see this gap here on the top rim. It's like a little, you know, like a little indent. It's gonna be a little indent there. Line up that indent with the gap in the brick line. That makes that T shape there, like that. Boom. It like literally clicks like Tetris. Okay, because you know you got the brick and then like there's a solid and then there's like the two bricks that are side to side in the back pillar. So just line up top rim with the back pillar using the last brick line and then that little gap to the empty space in between that brick line. Stand in between the dot, and now we witness magic. There you go. Literally, all it took was one burst. And it hit, surprisingly, it hit that one. It hits all of them. I've tested this out many times without failure. So this is a consistent method, okay? Assuming that dot is on everyone's device. I hope that's a consistent graphic. I haven't tested this out on mobile. Or like with different graphic settings. It's Genshin. I mean, I would be hard pressed to find out there's that much difference in a mobile game effectively. Even if I'm playing a PC, still a mobile game. Okay, but for whatever reason, all right, if that dot's not there, if I don't know, maybe it's a frame rate thing that affects how the eagle travels, God forbid it is, we're gonna learn the dummy method. This one for sure you can hit regardless, right? No lineups required. Well, maybe you literally just take this, you run into the pillar like last time, and then just line it up with that other pillar behind it diagonally. This time we're diagonal, ignoring that pillar right there. We're gonna hit it with the burst, and with the infusion, we're gonna go whack the other one. So hit your burst, and then just start sprinting, like start spamming sprint towards it and whack it. There you go. Two ways: the Sigma way and the dummy way. Don't feel bad. Hey. I'm not hating if you had to do the second way. I understand. Yeah, literally just line up, burst, hit them all, and then run over whack. That's it. Your weapon will be infused, so you can easily apply the power there. Just be spamming the sprint button whenever that the second the frame, that animation is done, sprint, cancel whatever's left of it, and then boom, whack it. Otherwise, look for the dot. You can always find, see, there it is, same dot right there. Right, it stands pretty much right in front of the thing, so it'll be pretty easy to find this dot. It's a pretty solid dot. Like, it's a pretty deep dot compared to the rest of the textures down here. And then just stand between. Remember, pillar line. You can't really see it anymore because the pillars raise when you hit them. But, you know, remember, line to line, and then gap to gap, and then hit the burst. That's part 1. Part 2 is just combat. And for the combat, it's, you know, it's very like, you know, you play it by ear. Since the enemies can react differently depending on, you know, whatever. There's just a couple rules of thumb here. They will be 3 waves: Hilichurls, Minotaurs, and then the Crown Mages. Literally just save your bursts. Unless you have like a crazy ER and you know you can hit 2 bursts per wave, which I don't even know how high that needs to be. Save your burst for the new wave and hit the whole wave with the burst. The goal here is catching every enemy with the burst. If you don't, you're probably not going to make it in time because you're not going to have enough damage dealt to all the enemies. So literally, I'm going to press F, and the minute this challenge starts, I'm going to hit the first burst because they all spawn in front of you, lined up to the middle. This is true for all 3 waves. So try to stay around the middle of the map as much as you can. I know those middle trolls rush, and they, it can be kind of hard to keep them still. But what's going to happen here, right? I'm literally going to get charged by a middle troll. So just get ready to dodge. Once you hit your burst, get ready to dodge. You don't have, healing. You don't have a shield. You have 1 health bar. Ideally, hopefully, maybe 20k health. So we want to make sure we don't avoid those charge attacks are probably the biggest threat we have to taking a lot of damage. Because, they give you like back shot, pause. They hit you a lot, right? And you can take like maybe 5,000-6,000 damage per rush if you want to let yourself get, bullied like that. Healy trolls, don't worry about it too much. They're not like crazy lethal. Yeah. We're gonna hit this burst, we're gonna dodge the charge, and then we're just gonna go give him back shots in return, okay? Boom. Look, he comes right at you, and then just start hitting. I whiffed the first shot. Go ahead and run a little more if you need to. Look at that. His shield's on fire. Honestly, as far as the attack strings, ignore the other things. Just focus on 1 target. Everyone else will get caught by like the radius. Save that ultimate. There you go, and then hit him with the next ult. Catch all of them. You got all of them. Nice. There you go. I was even able to phase through him by using the ult canceling whatever iframes. Don't even worry about that other Healy troll. He's gonna either burn or die on his own. Remember those. Like ideally, you want to stay in the middle of the map. Boom. I don't even have a burst up there. Perfect timing. Perfect timing to get that burst up. Use the infusion to break the shields. I'm gonna have my ability ready in a second here. And then look at that. You don't even have to worry about the other guy. They're kind of gonna just be near each other. They can break both of their shields, and you want to make sure their shields are broken because they're a pain in the ass if they're not. Now we're just gonna finish off this last guy. Sometimes I have another burst up. Looks like my orb generation was a little different, and I should still be able to clear this, no problem. Yeah. So this is where a little bit of ER helps, because you kind of burn out near the end. Well, because like your infusion runs out, and they're still not dead yet. Having more normal skill damage helps here, because if you run out of infusion, having higher normal skill will help there. Having a little more ER, you can get that. So notice I got 1 burst per wave. If you have enough ER, you can get another burst in towards the end to kind of finish off the last guy if you're like strapped for time. Not mandatory, as you just saw. We had enough time left to just, beat him to death. But that last burst helps a little to kind of for comfort, Yeah, literally all I did there, and we barely took any damage. It's just about dodging the mid troll charge. One thing we could fix there, this is by no means a perfect run. It's just, if you rush this to the corner, don't go chasing the mid troll. If you still have Healy trolls alive in the middle of the map, just focus on whoever's in the middle of the map if the Healy troll runs away. Because by the time you're done with that Healy troll, they usually like to rush back. So just let them come to you, don't go to them. That'll save you maybe 4 or 5 seconds, which is kind of what we're wiggling with here. 4 or 5 seconds before you actually like clear the event. You're going to be running it pretty close if you're like below 10 seconds. Just have faith and keep spamming that normal tech. But yeah, you do all that, you complete your Envisaged Echo, and now we get to look at this awesome for a completely relevant character cosmetic. Check that out. Look at that. Fire trail. Let's go. Bruh. Alright, and then if you have the outfit, awesome. It's cool. It looks cool. I don't even main Diluc anymore. He'll probably like my first power DPS. Yeah, before Whaaaat, before Arlecchino. But if you have the outfit, now you have the Echo to go with it to look really nice. And look at this glider. Look at that glider. Look how that matching color, even like the design, it's fancy. If you got that glider, props to you. That's a pretty cool glider to have because it looks really nice. There you go. That's that cool Envisaged Echo for you Diluc mains out there. That's pretty much all I have for y'all today. Thanks for watching this guide. Hopefully it was helpful. My name has been Jeffixations. Y'all have a great rest of your days. Take care of yourselves. I'll catch y'all around next time.
Screaming in public restrooms prank.